were connected to David's pain. They have come not because he can give them something. They knew he was a man in despair. They knew he was in an hopeless situation. This is a man who was living in the cave. The way he was going to rise up in the cave is going to be different from the way you rise up when you're standing on top of a rock. This was a man living in the cave. He has to crawl in sometimes. Sometimes he can't just stretch his hand anyhow. He was in the cave. The cave of Adullam was a strategic position for David, and it was a defining moment for the fulfillment of the promise of God on his life. You need to recognize the people that are coming to you. Some of them are connected to your skill, some of them are connected to your capability, some of them are connected to your past experience, and some are connected to your pain. Hello there, welcome back to the HowPlatform. My name is Yewande, and on this table we learn, we grow, we become, and we win. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some things, some process that has to happen for a star to shine. So in the last couple of videos, I've been talking about Isaiah 60 verse 1, and it says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of God is risen upon you." And you want to think about rising as a process, and shining is action. Because not many that rise, shine. Not many that live, rise. Not many that rise, shine. Not many that shine, sustain it. And not many that sustain it reach their potential. So in this video today, I want you to think about, how does a star shine? How do people shine in a particular area? How does a star shine? When you look in the sky and you see a star, there are certain key elements that produces a shining of a star. And the first thing is light. A light is key to the production of a shining. Light is very, very key, because that light is what makes the star to shine. But what you want to know about the production of the light that comes from star is that it's a combination of different elements. First, there is an heat that comes into it, and there is helium that makes the star to be suspended. The kind of, the helium that you use for the balloon. So there is, for the star, it generates some heat in the center of the star. And that heat, together with helium, interact together to make the star shine. So it is part of the key element in the production of a shining of a star, and that heat interacts with helium, and that heat make the star to shine. But another thing you want to notice about shining of a star is that every star needs a darkness. Every star needs a darkness for it to shine. You don't know the importance of light without darkness. We don't know what a star looks like if there is no darkness. I mean, when you look into the sky during the day, you see a lot in the sky. You see the sun, but you don't see the star. It's not that they are not shining, but because there is a lot of light, you are not able to identify the star. The only star that shines during the day is Jesus, the bright morning star. So there is a darkness. And what do I mean by darkness? Darkness is something that you don't want to think darkness. You don't want to think it as like only the absence of light. Darkness could be an absence of joy. Darkness could be an absence of growth. Darkness could be an absence of increase. Darkness could be a suffering, a pain. Darkness could be an absence of value or potential. Darkness could be a situation, a time where somebody is hidden or not known. Darkness could be a time of brokenness. So you want to think of, when you think of different people in the Bible who shine out of a particular situation, talk about Ruth, talk about Abraham, talk about Esther, talk about Rahab. There was a darkness and these people emerged. There was a suffering and these people emerged. There was a battle and these people emerged. There was an uprising and these people emerged. There was a delay and their miracle emerged. There was a delay and a baby emerged. There was a sickness and healing emerged. There was a stagnancy and progress emerged. There was a promise and an implementation or the performance of that promise emerged. That is the way you want to think of a darkness. Darkness is when there is an absence of light, an absence of joy, an absence of grace, an absence of value, an absence of being known in a particular situation. Darkness could be a suffering. Is there anything bad in darkness? And when I'm talking about darkness, you want to think in terms of what I've laid down. Because for every star that we see shine, darkness is key. In the last video when I was talking about how to rise up from a sticky situation, I said embrace discomfort. Embrace situations that brings the best out of you. Because we don't grow in comfort. Friends help us, but enemies make us. Friends helps us, but enemies, they make us. When you find yourself in a situation that you have people who are waiting on you to fail, that gives you motivation to want to succeed. When you find yourself in a situation where you are constantly running from somebody who is after your life, that will give you and build in you the momentum to build your skill to be resilient. That was David. He had to run away from Saul. Darkness is key to the production of shining. When you see a bad situation or when you see a project at your workplace that is very, very complex or complicated, those are the projects that could easily be an area for you to shine. Sign up for it. There are times that we don't even sign up for this darkness. Because sometimes when there is a promise of God, that promise usually comes with its own brokenness or with its own process. And the bitter truth is that some of this process might be painful. That is a darkness. Some of this process would come with their own pain, and that can be a form of darkness in its own self. So, darkness is key, and I've defined what darkness is. And I also note in that video that every star has its position. Position is very, very, very key. You shine in the area where God has called you to shine. You don't shine in other people's position. You shine in an area of your comparative advantage. You shine in your area of your strength. You shine in your area of your skill. You can't be trying to become somebody else and think you can shine to be somebody else. You can't try to become somebody else and shine in being somebody else. You want to think in line of your own comparative advantage, in the line of your own strength, because your own strength is what will give you your own stage. Your own strength is what will give you your own audience. Your own strength will help you to gather the impression that you're going to have on people. That is why you need to identify your strength, because you shine and every star has its position. Every star has its position. You can't shine in all the positions. I'm an economist by profession. On my Twitter page, I don't have to post anything before people follow me. People see me, I'm an economist. I have made some contribution in the international trade in sub-Saharan African development economy. I've done some firm level analysis. I have some data in that space. People that are interested in those kind of topics, they would naturally gravitate towards me. That's how it works. I don't have to do anything on my personal Twitter page or my LinkedIn for me to see people follow me in that space. You have your position. In that your position, you shine. In the ministry, everyone has their position. There is the prophets, there is the apostle, there is the pastor, there is the teacher, there is the evangelist. You can't be everything. You can't be a pastor, an evangelist, a prophet, a teacher, and an apostle. You shine in your position. Your goal is to find your position and stay in that area and shine. So every shining has its position, because every star has its audience. You have your audience. If I step out of my house in the middle of in the night, the star that I see from my hand is going to be different from the star that you see if you step out somewhere in Russia or in Africa or in Ukraine or India. The star that finds its audience with you depends on the position of where you are in the globe. Every star has its position. Every star has its audience. Don't expect that you will shine in front of everyone. You are not called to everyone. You are not called to shine in front of every people. Even as popular as Coca-Cola is, as much as many of us like to take Coca-Cola, some people still don't like that because of the sugar level in Coca-Cola. You shine in front of the right audience. You don't shine in front of everyone. You don't shine in front of everyone. And if you see what I highlighted in the last video, the audience that you gather, some of them will like you to help you. Some of them will like you enough. And because they like what they see in you, they would want to learn something from you. Some of them will like you enough and see what your potential, and because they see your potential and your strength, that may gather envy and jealousy. That was what we saw for David and the audience that he found with Saul. Some of the audience that you are going to find are people that will come and they will support your dream. They will share your video. They will promote your product. They will connect you with the right audience. They will connect you with the right people. They will be the one Bluetoothing and promoting your content. That is another set of audience. That is another set of audience. That is another set of audience. We don't go through life alone. Every shining has its audience. Every shining has its audience. So we saw for David. For David, he had this audience. First, with the common people. The common people, the unknown people. That was his first audience after conquering Goliath. And then he started finding audience in front of the king. The king started paying attention to him. Who is this boy? He's gaining popularity among the common. If we are not careful, he's going to take over the train. That was an audience. And then David also found audience in the sight of Jonathan that helped David understand the protocol and the process of living in the palace. And then we started seeing some other audience, because when David moved into the palace, and Saul began to send him on assignments. And Saul was sending him on those assignments, those dangerous assignments, because Saul wanted to put him in the harm's way so that David could fall into the hands of the enemy. So you want to see this, that not many people give you visibility, who are trying to promote. Sometimes some of them are promoting you for their own selfish reason. That was what we saw for Saul. So for Saul, he was promoting David so that he can put him on harm's way. That was part of God's plan for him. Do you know why I said that? Because God knew that he needed that military skill to be able to rule as king. So that getting that exposure, that getting that experience continued to build his manpower and his military ability. He was getting that exposure, and God was protecting him. Because when there is a promise, there is a purpose, there are purpose that goes with it, and there is a protection that's part of it. When you are in your position, your protection is sure. When you are in your position, your protection is sure. David was in his position, even though he was right in the palace where the enemy that want to kill him is, he was protected. That Psalms 23 summarized the lesson that we're going to draw from how David rose from the cave of Adullam. In that Psalms 23, David said, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have all I need." The Lord is my shepherd. I have all I need. In that Psalms 23, David said, "He made me to lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and the staff, they comfort me. Thou prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil, my cup run over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Position, purpose, protection, preparation, promise. When you think about all these words that I've laid down, for David rising up to become that king, it wasn't an easy process. From the battlefield, David found himself in the palace. And when David realized that Saul was after his life, he got several confirmations from Jonathan. In that 1 Samuel 21, he got the second confirmation that yes, my father really hates you and Saul is after your life. David had to run. In that 1 Samuel 22, we find David. Now that 1 Samuel 22, David was now in a dilemma. When you read that Psalms 23, it said, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." This was a man that was promised to become a king, now walking in the valley of the shadow of death. He was running for his life. He was running for his life. And in 1 Samuel 22, I'm going to read this to you because this lesson is going to be in multiple videos, and I'm going to be highlighting the strategy that helped David to rise up out of the cave of Adullam. A man who was supposed to become a king found himself in a cave. In that 1 Samuel 22, the Bible said, "David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard of it, they went down thither to him." And in that verse 2, I want you to think in terms of audience that David started finding. Remember, he had this military experience. He started fighting. So while he was fighting, people that like the way he comports himself, people that like the way he carries himself on the battlefield and he fights and his military ability, they started getting attracted to David. So David had these men who were working with him. And then in that verse 2 of 1 Samuel 22, the Bible says, "And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented, they gathered themselves unto him, and he became a captain over them, and they were with him about 400 men." At this point, David started gathering a new set of audience. People that could connect to his values, people that could connect to his experience, people that could connect to his capability, and then people that could connect to his pains. Don't hide your pains. These men, they stood with David and they count up to be about 400 men. They count up to be about 400 men who became the strong men of David. There is a saying It says, if they stand behind you, give them protection. If they are behind you and they are rooting for you and they are supporting you, give them protection. These people, they were connected to David's pain. They have come not because he can give them something. They knew he was a man in despair. They knew he was in an hopeless situation. This is a man who was living in the cave. The way he was going to rise up in the cave is going to be different from the way you rise up when you're standing on top of a rock. This was a man living in the cave. He has to crawl in sometimes. Sometimes he can't just stretch his hand anyhow. He was in the cave. The cave of Adullam was a strategic position for David, and it was a defining moment for the fulfillment of the promise of God on his life. You need to recognize the people that are coming to you. Some of them are connected to your skill. Some of them are connected to your capability. Some of them are connected to your past experience. And some are connected to your pain. If they stand behind you, give them protection. If they stand beside you and they are fighting alongside of you, they are co-authors, they are collaborators, give them respect. Give them respect. If they stand ahead of you, if they already know something that you don't know, if they already see your potential, even when you have not fully recognized it. For David, it was Saul. Saul already saw him as a threat. He recognized his potential. If you see them ahead of you, show them honor. If you see them ahead of you, show them honor. Because how you go and accomplish the promise matter. You can't help people to your way to the palace. You can't suppress people on your way to the palace. If they are ahead of you, show them honor. We saw for David, he knew Saul was after his life, but Saul was ahead of him. He showed him honor. Several times, Saul would be in the same cave and he would be sleeping, and David would have his strong men and his sword by his side, but he didn't kill Saul because he said he's an anointed person of God. If they are ahead of you, show them honor. I'm going to repeat this again, and I want you to take this as part of the lesson when it comes to audience. People are going to be coming to you. I see people that follow their platform content and follow our status, and sometimes they like it, sometimes they check it, sometimes some of them message me, some of them are kings, some of them are politicians and policy makers, some of them are high-level pastors and leadership of ministries. I see them on my status. Sometimes I tell them, I send a message and I say thank you to them. I honor them. When people who are ahead of you, they are watching you, show them honor. When people are ahead of you, they are not watching you, but they seem to be eyeing what you're doing, show them honor. For David, he showed Saul honor. If they stand against you, pray about it. If they are trying to stop what God is doing in your life, pray about them. Don't be naive. If they stand against you, don't be naive. When you see people, they are coming around you and they are obstructing you from getting to the promise where God is taking you to, set good boundaries. Know where to say, this is your level of access. We're still learning about David and his process of rising to the palace. Today, I have highlighted 5 things. For David, there was a promise, there was a purpose, there was a protection, there was a process, there was a protocol. And for rising and shining in any space, you need to know that darkness is part of the process. And by darkness, I mean the suffering, the time, the things that you don't like. Because we don't shine in light, we shine out of darkness. I've also highlighted the importance of audience. Remember, if they stand behind you, protect them. If they stand beside you, respect them. If they stand ahead of you, honor them. And if they stand against you, don't be naive. Thank you for joining me on the How Platform. See you in the next video.